the insulation requirements, and then let's move over to first the orientation of the structures. Now, how should the orientation of any structure be? That is very important. Just a minute. So the first criteria is the orientation of the buildings. Now, in which direction should we orient our buildings? Now, the building should be oriented in such a way that you have the passive solar energy, you can utilize that to the maximum. So you can utilize the sun's rays to the maximum. It should be such orientation for the buildings. Orientation has to do with the positioning of the building, and it has to do with the wind patterns that would be moving across and along the buildings. So a good orientation would be that orientation wherein you are utilizing the maximum efficiency of the buildings, of the energy for the buildings. So for that, why do you want to have good orientation at the same time? You want that the structure should be more comfortable, and it should be more comfortable to live and work from, and also the structure should be easily workable. To run or to operate. So that would mean a good orientation for a building wherein you are utilizing the maximum efficiency of the energy of the building, and you are also utilizing this passive energy from the sun, and also keeping the structure in such a way that you have the maximum ventilation comfort within your rooms from the wind that's blowing across and along. So the principles of good orientation have to do with number one, it is passive cooling. This is the principle of good orientation, and passive shading. These two will be utilized during the summer months, and during winter months where you have cold climatic conditions, the good orientation should provide passive heating at the same time during the summer winter months, and at the same time it should prevent from wind drafts, which are cold winds that blow during the winter in a particular direction. In our case, we have the westerly winds mostly. So it should prevent from those westerly winds. So we have to the orientation is then based on the climatic conditions of a particular area. Let me show you a figure. So this is a figure that is showing that if you have a structure, and this is the northern side of the structure, this is western side, this is south, and this is east. So you have For example, you have hot winds blowing from this side during summers, and there is a cool breeze that keeps on blowing on this side of the structure, and some cool breeze is also flowing on this side. Then you have the southern side, and this is variable cool breezes and western and the South Australia. So uh, this is for a particular location. I just collected it from the figure from the net. Now, what you will see that in our case, I'll just locate in our case, if this is the northern side of the building, this is the north side. On eastern side, the sun uh, rises in the morning and sets here in southwest or along the west, near the west. During the winters, it rises somewhere in southeast and sets in southwest. So its trajectory is like this during the winters. And during the summers, the trajectory when it's equinox is somewhat like this, and it slightly drifts like this during the peak summer of in the months of July and August. So you way before that in the June, it's somewhat like this, the trajectory of the sun. So you want to utilize the maximum sun's energy, which is actually the southward sun onto the building. So you want to capture that energy during the winters. So you keep main key components of your house towards the southern sun for the winter sun, which is also known as the winter sun. So main how the house should have rooms which are meant to be warm during the winters located towards the south, and those rooms which are meant to be cool during the summers should be located towards the north. That should be the directions in our case, in our region, where you have extreme weather climates during the summer and the winter, where the temperature difference is way above 45 degrees for summer and winter temperatures. So thereby then you have certain rooms and orientation of certain rooms which depends upon the breeze during the summers. So all northern rooms or northeastern and northwestern rooms could be located towards the wind breeze. But we know that the cold wind blows, the hot wind during the summers blows from eastern direction, mostly in the Kashmir Valley I'm talking about during the summers. Then and that's the cold wind blowing from the eastern side, and from the western side you're again getting the hot winds during the day, and during the night you're getting the cold winds from the eastern side. So, and it may vary location to location. This is just a general trend. It varies from location to location. If you're living somewhere where there is a mountain on the western side and close by to you, the winds may not blow from there. The winds may blow in the opposite direction. So you actually have to also look at the local site conditions. I'm talking about plain site conditions for Kashmir Valley, where this is the general trend throughout all the plain areas of the valley, where the cold wind usually during the night blows from eastern direction, and in the summers, and hot wind during the days blows from the western direction, or there is a local convection happening during the days. So in evenings you always want your rooms which are located towards the eastern side, because there you will not get the sun as well, to be those rooms where you would be resting or sitting in the evenings in summers. So east and northeast would be an ideal location for a room, for a summer room, and where you are living or you are resting or sleeping. While as for winters, the ideal, because in winters we have western winds that blow, which are cold winds, and those winds are also followed up by northerly Siberian winds in our case. So what do you expect then, the orientation of the house, any one of you, during winters? Where should be the living room be then during for the winters? If the Siberian winds are blowing from the north and from the west, and then there is a southern sun, so the location of the room should be south to southeast for a living room or a residing or a resting room during the winters. So this is this is the orientation for based on these principles of cooling, shading, heating, and from the principle of the wind draft. So when you orient your house in your home or house, it is towards the best of sunlight and winds or wind. Now, if I tell you where should be the this is the living room or the resting room that I was talking about, where should the kitchen be located, and where should uh, in the house it has to be located towards the rising sun, towards the eastern sun. And during the winters, because the sun again captures from the east, but it's a cold winter, so you always want kitchen area with high humidity within it. You want that portion to remain cool during the summers and a bit warmer during the winters. So thereby, you do not want to lose the energy, the heat energy that is generated during the winters, but you want that energy to be lost during the summers because it becomes very hot to work in the kitchen area. So a cool breeze should blow towards the kitchen during the summer. So it is best located near the eastern portion, and you can locate it somewhere in between the east and the northern portion, and that would be a best suitable place in our region for the kitchen to be located. So living, resting are decided already as per the winter and the summer requirements, and then you have the kitchen. Now you have to strike a balance. You cannot keep shifting kitchen from for summers and winters, and living rooms and resting rooms for summers and winters. So a good orientation that has to do with combined with the energy efficiency features can reduce or even eliminate the need for auxiliary heating and cooling requirements, and that would result in lesser bills, and so we have less greenhouse carbon dioxide emissions, because we are using less of wood to burn if we have good energy efficiency in our houses. So it's we had to take into account both summer and winter months and consider the sun's path as well as its direction. We have to consider sun's path and direction and types of winds, which is cool breezes. So good orientation that would help in eliminating all the auxiliary heating, cooling, energy requirements. So so for an ideal house, why do we orient our house for every climate and for our regional considerations of climate? So we built our house using the site's potential for maximum potential. We use maximum site's potential for cooling and heating for orientation. तो आप घर का नक्शा और घर की ज्योमेट्री जो है, you actually strategize that to overcome all challenge. For example, I have to construct a house now, and this is just a plan of the house, and there is this is eastern, this is east, this is eastern sun rising on this direction, and you have, we resemble north like this. This is north. So what do you get? You get the trajectory path of sun. Now, if I have the road on this side, for example, of the house, I want to have the face of the building towards the road, and people definitely want to have that. So, and this is eastern sun. So you want then kitchen spaces to be here, and you would like to have certain, this would not be, this is east, west, this is south. I'm using the opposite. This is east, this is west. So you would have kitchen spaces on this side, and you would want to have on the southern side all your living rooms and bedrooms. Then you would like to have your spaces for, which are storage spaces, your washrooms, they can go towards the northern side. But you do not have maximum choices and to accommodate everything in a closed net design. And if you want to accommodate everything, for that you actually need to go for L-shaped designs, somewhat like this. You can go for L-shaped designs, wherein you provide maximum ventilation here and maximum exposure to the sun for all the rooms. So there in the L-shaped designs, you can do that, but not in a grid design. It's not possible. And at times you might have certain problems, like you have the road moving like this, and now you want to shift the face of this house. Your road is like this, so your house is like this, and this is east now, this is west. Now, how do you then accommodate it? It's a challenge to orient the house in, because you want to have the face towards it. So you have to actually get over this and decide at times, do you want, whether you want maximum energy utilization of house, or you want house facing street. You want house facing street, and you want an architectural look facing the street. So the facing of the house is towards the street. So you actually have to decide there. But you always have further alternatives, like I showed you the L-shaped design and others. So therein you can accommodate many other things. You have U-shaped designs of the houses, which we usually do not accommodate in our areas. We do not provide L-shaped designs to our houses. So we should explore all those options as well in areas where you want to explore the maximum position of the sun at the midday, as well as in the morning and in the evening. So now if you have northern orientation of the house, southern orientation of the house during the winters, because the sun is facing towards the south, and the ground near the summertime, that would have eaves you can provide for summertime. अगर आप north side से, and you are not providing major rooms, you are providing towards the southern side. Now during the summers they may heat up, so you provide the eaves and the sun shades for the summertime. In the winter time the sun will be quite low, so it will still go through this. So now all north facing walls, sorry, the south facing walls and the windows, they receive maximum solar radiation during the winters than in the summers. So we need to design the best orientation now, dependent on number one, on temperature ranges, that is both seasonal and diurnal. Humidity range is second. Third is direction of cool breeze. Diurnal is day and night humidity range, seasonal characteristics, including all the extreme weathers that you can experience, and impact of local geography, which I told you, if you are living in mountainous regions, there the local geography changes after every few meters. The local geography changes. Impact of adjacent buildings. So if there are very close buildings, so you may not get the cool breeze during the summers when you expect it, and during the winters you do not get the heating, the solar heating which you expect. So if there are adjacent buildings, and if you're constructing a house between such adjacent buildings, then forget about the orientation as per that, because the adjacent buildings will then decide your house location, and if they are too close, they will definitely decide the house location. So orientation then is based on that. So orientation of our house is actually based on the passive heating from the sun. So what we call it as, we call it as solar axis. It is the term which describes the amount of useful sunshine striking the glass in the living spaces of a home. So that is solar excess. How much is the amount of sunshine that actually is striking the glasses in the living spaces? Now, if on southern side, if you're not providing adequate glasses, even if you're putting the building towards that side, orienting the rooms towards that side for winter sun, but you're not providing enough glasses for the sunshine to come inside, then it's of no use. But if you're providing too many glasses, it's actually creating a draft for the cold winter nights. So it's actually cooling your houses. So you have to provide adequate amount of glasses. So sun is actually free home heating appliance. So you have to actually strike a balance, and you have to do calculations to design this. It is not so simple that people usually put up windows कि मैं 10 by 6 मीटर की विंडो डाल रहा हूँ. They should actually strike a balance between रात को जो temperature drop हो रहा है through when the wind is blowing, and It's causing the glasses to become cold, and then it's transmitting the cold air, the cooling effect into the rooms. So they should strike a balance between that and the daylight sunshine. So for on preventing the draft of the wind, we actually provide double glazed vacuum insulated windows and glasses. So that has to be taken into account. So a good orientation, a good site orientation would always be facing the street as well. But you have to take into account whether you are making your house passive energy conservation or not. So I have this figure. Let me show you. So this is the figure. Now, what does this figure show you? It If you're not constructing based on the passive mode of construction, and but you want the street frontage to be the main consideration. Now, look at this. This is the house. Northern direction is not your preferred direction. It should be the opposite here. This is for an area in the southern hemisphere. So this should be south, not north. This should be south. So your major rooms, living zone should be towards the south. Now, if the street is at this angle, how do you can then distribute it? You can just build it up into two parts here with an offset here. So this is an offset which is meant to again provide the not the direct sun rays. Still, you can get at a particular angle. But if you provide overall feature like this, from offsets you can get more windows in the offset, and from there you can take in the light from those offsets. Again, this direction, 30-degree here, it's this direction, clear here, again on offset here. So, and actually they have designated two zones, living zone and sleeping areas. But this is for southern hemisphere where there are not any extreme climatic considerations. In our area, our living zone and sleeping zone should both be on this face, and the other side should be the face which is meant mostly for storage and kitchen purposes or the lobby purposes. So the orientation is actually dependent on the winter sun, which I told you. So if you have two houses located close by, let me show you how it should be like. So this is again from the southern hemisphere. We'll just replace the north with the south here. This is not north, this is south. And the winter sun is from the south. This is a single story building. If there are two adjacent buildings, they should be at least 6 meters apart if they are single story. And if they are double story, at least 11 meters apart. That's more than 33 feet, around 36 feet or more. So you need to have structures adequately placed apart from each other. Then you will get the maximum amount of winter sun on that and face. So next, and then there is one more thing that is regarding the sun's, because the sun is running from east to west, so you need to actually accommodate all the south facing outdoor spaces. So there should not be overshadowing by the neighboring houses during the summers, but there should be adequate shading during the summers, and not overshadowing during the winters. So if you're locating your house on a slope, in that case you need to actually take into account the effect of the slope while you're designing the structure. Let me show you. This is the south facing slope. Again, this is for southern hemisphere. This will be south. जहां पर north facing लिखा है, that's south facing. This is not south facing, this is north facing. So the slope here is, this slope is north facing and this slope is south facing. Now, because this is the winter sun for which we are designing, so all north facing slopes, they will have rooms towards the northern side adequately. So towards the southern side adequately, so no issue. But those which are north facing, तो वहां तो उल्टा हो रहा है, because we want the slope to be south facing. तो वहां क्या करेंगे? So you actually need to take up the houses a little higher from the ground level, and try to place your then the all the windows on to the southern side. So that is the requirement. In that case, you will again rejoin all of you.